Tyson got that sauce in it.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to SFL Nights with AJ Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. And I have here with me my friend, Mr. Chad Roland. He is the GM and now head coach of the London Knights, as well as many other things. But,
Sure.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Ashley. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. It's been a while. We have to touch bases, and see what's going on, especially in light of certain events that have occurred over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's been brought up a time or two.
Yeah. But before we get into all of that, what is your thoughts on the draft overall?
For me, being an analyst as well, I had a really good time. That was one of my goals, actually, when I joined the league, was to be able to do those draft panels and stuff like that. Eventually get into broadcasting down the road. But for right now, being able to be on that panel, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of interesting moves that teams made, which I imagine we'll get into. But just the overall experience of it, we had so many people that were viewing it too. I think Cam said there was like 200 some viewers at one point, 230, I think. We had a lot. And it just shows how much interest we have in the league. And it was just such a blast this weekend.
Absolutely. And Kim was right. I think it got up to like around 236 or something because I was nodding.
I think it was like mid 230s, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, just look at us. We're growing and stuff.
We're growing.
So tell me, Chad, for everybody that does not know, who did you select in the draft and why did you select those individuals to join the London Knights?
Yeah, so we had one pick, which was nice. We didn't have to do multiple picks. We had the 7th overall, so we selected left guard Perrin Ibarra, coming out of Ottawa. I get the team names confused sometimes, but he was a guy that we just had really high on the board, right? With the way I wanted to build this team this season, wanting to get the run game more established. We obviously signed Butch Minner from Charleston in free agency. So we had different options, right? We could have either went left guard there, or my other option was going to be the fullback Aaron Alexander, who ended up going to Fort Worth. But the more I kept talking to Perrin, the more he just became the number one guy. He was dying to be a Knight. And those are the type of guys that you look for in the draft, right? The guys that are being dedicated to your team for not just one season, but for multiple seasons. And everything that, he loved the Knight code, everything that stood out about it. He was the reason he liked us so much is because in our conversations, we never even talked about his build at all until we actually got him into a conversation with Liam and Tanner. That was when we finally discussed build. We just get to know the guy. And once we got to know him and stuff, he was just like, this is the team I want to go to. I don't want to go to anybody else. And we're able to take him.
Nice. And it is nice. I actually put it out in Gen Chat. I'm not sure if you saw it, but wished all the rookies good luck. And I also said I wish all of y'all good luck in the hope that whomever you are selecting actually goes to you. So it does sound like you got who you wanted. I know Houston DR Sims got who he wanted. So it's good when your board is not blown up, because we got a chance to sit back and relax this season.
True, you did. You had it nice. You had it made in the shade.
We try to get everybody that we needed. And then, like I said, no knock to rookies, but if you can get it in free agency, let y'all have fun. But
there you
go. I enjoyed seeing all of the excitement each time when you see the rookies get drafted and how everybody's congratulating them. And then if they are actually hooked up to the cam, you can see their excitement and things that they do, like Aaron Alexander standing there like this. It was nice.
Old Aaron, he's the trip. He's such a good kid. He was on our minor league team in Lexington. Just a wonderful guy, and he deserved to be a first round draft pick for sure.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, what did you think about Lexington's record? Were you trying some things over there in Lexington that you will later try in for the London Knights since you're head coach?
Over there in Lexington was a little different. I had Mac Chima and Tom Tanner as coordinators. I really just let them to kind of do their thing, right? There wasn't anything that I was trying to do in London or in Lexington that I wanted to bring over. To me, it's all, the minor league is all about grooming, right? Not just the players, but coordinators as well. So letting them be able to pick the playbook and scout their teams and this and that. That was kind of how I ran things this season. Now, next season may be a little bit different. We didn't really end quite well as I thought we would, but having them guys do that work, that's what I wanted them to learn, because that's what you're going to have to do when you get up to the pros if you want to be an OC or even a head coach, right? You're going to have to put in the work. And those guys got firsthand experience, which is what all that matters. So even if I ended up 0-8 or whatever, I was fine with it. I mean, not really, I guess, competitively wise, but I would have been fine with it as long as my coordinators learned some stuff and then my players learned some stuff as well.
Which is, that's how it goes, right? I mean, actually, you guys had a pretty strong start. I think
we did,
somebody like 40-something points. First game.
Yep. We had a really strong start, and then I think defenses and other teams just figured out that, the offense kind of flowed through Bailey O'Shaughnessy, and poor Bailey, I mean, he kind of had an off year compared to what he had the year before in Indianapolis, and still got him drafted, which I was happy about, but he didn't have as a productive a season as I wanted him to.
Now, I must have missed Bailey's draft. Who drafted Bailey?
He was the last pick in the draft. So he was Mr. Irrelevant that went to Denver. So, I really pushed for him to go to Baltimore just because, it'd been kind of a fun little thing to battle against my former running back. But just knowing Baltimore, being from the Vultures before I came to London. But like I told him, I said, you know what? And I said, you got Baltimore and you got Denver that are fighting, that are trying to pick a running back. I said, you couldn't have picked any better situations to go to than both the teams. Denver is a top-notch organization. Adam Wiseman, I think, is going to do fantastic things as head coach over there. Kramer, of course, staying on his GM after retirement. That's going to be a dynamic duo there for many seasons to come.
Definitely. Yeah. So if someone is interested in getting into coaching, should they start off in the minors?
I mean, I think so. I mean, to me, I didn't really get to start in the minors just because of the certain situations I was in last season and had to kind of take over. But as far as, if you're a player in the minor league or even just a player in the pros and you want to learn coordination, learn how to coach and this and that, depending on who you're with, some guys, like if you're in Florida, for example, I mean, you get to learn from Mighty. There's really nobody better to learn from, So maybe, up to Mighty how he wants to handle that. But there's a lot of people that probably would say, hey, go to the minors, learn how to, develop a game plan and be able to execute that game plan. And I think that's what the huge benefit is of the minor leagues is. It's not just to build up the player and make the player draftable. It's the fact that you get to build up coaches and make them into super stud coaches, down the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, looking at your schedule from this past season, you had some really great wins. One was unfortunately over there as a Scorpion.
There was a really good one in week 3. I don't remember who that was against.
Let me see. Because I actually do have it pulled up right now.
Who was that big victory in week 3 against? Ashley, do you remember? Yeah, I don't even know why you're looking it up. You should know who it is.
You know what? That's what I was trying to give you some kind of accolades. Okay.
That was a hell of a game. That was such a hell of a game.
Okay, so
for Robert Merrill to have only 5 yards rushing was beyond me.
Wait a minute. You played Carolina the first week, right?
No, last season we played DC first.
Okay, so DC. Oh yeah. So
we played Mexico City. Then we played you.
Yeah.
I know.
But no, listen. The way that Angus played that game, like I don't think you guys rushed any. I think you only had like 5 yards rushing.
We only had 5 yards rushing, correct?
Right. And with that being said, how Angus performed and everything, it looks like he was had a good, I think he was player of the game. Mm-hmm. He also got player of the week that week. So he had a lot of accolades going. So why did he retire?
I think it was just that time. Sometimes you just know when you're going to retire. It was actually kind of talked about the season, before that season even started, of the possibility of Angus, maybe wanting to retire. But obviously he's the team president. He is the minority owner, so he's more into that role. He does have a player that is going to be on the Knights this season, which is Selwyn Lane. So that's going to be his, the owner player. You know what I'm saying? So, trying something different. Going to the defensive side of the ball and then helping us build that defense up, the nightmare defense that we had. But really, and I kind of know where this is going to segue into, so I'll just go ahead with it. But really, the whole thing with free agency was I wanted whoever was going to take over the shoes of Angus McLean to be able to be approved by Angus McLean, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was the key to the offseason, was whoever we brought in was going to have to be approved by Angus, and that was the only way that he was going to retire. Because if we didn't find a quarterback, Angus probably would still be Angus.
Okay, that was good, because I was going to follow that up with was it just for Johnny to actually join the team? But if it wasn't Johnny, if it was anyone else, even if it was a rookie that you guys had your mind on, do you think that would have still been the case? Do you think he'd been like, no, I'll just play another season?
No, I think it still would have been the case. I think that if we would have had, I had a rookie in mind. I said it, before, and I say it again, that if it wasn't Johnny Pickler as the quarterback of London, it's going to be Dave Burr. I wouldn't have cared to draft him 7th overall, because he was just that kind of guy. Which we could get into that about how my excitement for him going to Houston. But yeah, I mean, with Angus, I mean, we talked about this, and kind of like how Johnny alluded to during his interviews and stuff, we didn't reach out to him because we had a quarterback opening. We reached out to him because we thought on the field and off the field, Johnny would be a valuable piece for the London franchise. And once we got him, and my personal relationship with Johnny is a fantastic relationship, but I wanted Liam and Tanner, Jeff, Benji, and especially Angus to be able to see what I see. And after a few conversations we had with Johnny, after we found out that things were probably not going to work out in Louisiana, that was when, we had those conversations and everything, and everybody was on board. And Angus was like, "Yep, this is who I want to pass the torch to."
Okay. Before I begin on Johnny, how did you feel about Dave Burr going over there?
Oh gosh, with Houston. I mean, here's the thing. So, John, like I said, if Dave would have been there in the draft and I didn't have a quarterback, I would have took Dave Burr. I wouldn't have took Johnny Reno. I wouldn't have took Joseph Green. I wouldn't have took anybody. I would have took Dave Burr. He is just such a fantastic locker room presence, right? And this is kind of, and like I said on the show, I've been talking with Damon about this for about a month and a half, maybe off and on. Because this guy, when we looked at all the quarterback openings, everything just kept going back to Houston. What do you think Damon's going to do? Do you think Damon and then we'll take a guy that's a lower value compared to everybody else? And like I told Dave, I said, at the end of the day, I said, you gotta put yourself out there as you, right? I said, let them see who I've seen. A guy that during a 4 or 5 game losing streak at Lexington was just nothing but positive. Even in every single game, Chad, the guy's been there. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy made a ring, like an actual ring that has the Lexington Minor logo on it. I mean, the dude's dedicated. And that's what I tried to push to Damon was I said, this is a guy that, if you're a win team now or a win now team, go ahead and draft Johnny Reno. Go ahead and draft Scar Patterson, whatever. But I said, no offense, and I'm not trying to throw any shade towards you. I said, but you're not. I said, you got 8 draft picks, right? You had what, 9, maybe 10 the year before, right? So you're looking for people that will be dedicated to the Hyena cause. And you're looking for people that's going to stay for multiple seasons, right? I mean, let's just call it like it is. So Dave Burr is just that guy. Like, he is dedicated, and he will be dedicated. This guy's not going to leave. He loves the atmosphere. I've already talked to him about it already. He's already loving what's going on in Houston. He's really excited. And being able to see that reaction and also talking to Damon afterward, that was just a match made in heaven right there. Him and Houston was just a perfect match.
Good. Fantastic. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Going back to the decision to have Johnny on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know that they both had Liam and Johnny particularly have butted heads in the past where Johnny has called the team trash, things and all of that.
Correct.
What was the deciding factor, if you know, or what actually happened with Liam and Johnny? Because Johnny was supposed to be on. I guess he just got caught up in some things, and hopefully I'll have him on later on in the season. But I don't know if you know the answer to this. But what happened in those talks? You don't have to go into too much detail, but for Liam to just say, "Hey, you know what? I forgive you for all of that show that you put on, and I'll let you go ahead and be on my team." Because I was talking to some other people, Eddie being one of them, and he was like, "If that had ever happened to us, like if I was to ever do that to him and just slander, there's no way if I wanted to come back, I would ever be on the team." Yeah. And I told him that I understand that. So how did that forgiveness go?
Yeah, and anybody that feels that way, I get it, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. But here's the thing, Liam, before, and I can't really speak on the stuff that happened during that time because I wasn't a part of that, right? I don't really remember. I know that there was some things I think maybe said in Gen chat. I can't remember, to be quite honest, all the details. I do know the press conference. I remember him calling him trash. I totally get it. And I understand people looking at it like, okay, this guy just called your owner trash. Now he's on your team. What's going on? This really kind of, when I came to London, as me and you've discussed before, there was a reputation here, right? And Liam had a reputation. And, I still remember, I mean, I've had other owners and GMs when I took this position reach out to me and say, well, good luck. If Gerald couldn't do it, you can't do it. That was one, I can't remember who told me that. I can't remember the other ones. There was some other ones other people that said basically, you're going to be gone after a season or two because you're not going to like it. But this really speaks to the transformation that Liam has done, right? Because, basically, the conversation like I had with Liam was, I said, just let, me and Tanner do what we can do, right? Let us take over. Let us be the face of it. You sit back and just, help out when you can and do the communication side of things like he has been doing. I said, but football operation wise and everything else, I said, let me and Tanner do it. And really, like he told me, he said, I'm going to let you guys do things. I want to win. Right. And he's like, once I finally heard kind of the passion from him and then like, I'm sick and tired of being a laughingstock, basically, I want to win. That's when everything changed. Right. And he has lived up to every word that he has told me, in all honesty, every single word. And so, and he's seen what we've done, right? I mean, we took a team that won 7 games in 3 seasons, in a span of 3 seasons, and won 5 in 1 season, right? We went from 2-10 and 2-10 to 5-7 with not really very many changes to the roster. Cutting a goal defensive tackle because he's just a pain, whatever. We did that. So now we going into this off season and you can see the results of what we've done, right, as an organization. And having these big name type of free agents come out. I mean, Mike St. Green, for God's sakes, I was number 24 of 24. He was waiting for Eddie to call, right? I mean, he'll tell you. He was waiting for Eddie to call. And when I reached out to him first, he was like, man, he goes, there's no way. He goes, you guys are not even on the radar. And I'm like, let me have a conversation with you one time. That'll change. And so once we had that conversation and he could see exactly how passionate I was, how you heard how passionate Liam was, what the plan was for London, the more conversations we had, the more that Mike St. Green jumped on board. And the prospect of playing with Johnny was another thing for Mike St. Green as well. To be able to play, have a quarterback like Johnny Pickler. So, and then that just made everything else kind of fall into place, right? Obviously, getting Butch Minner was a big signing for us, a huge signing for us. Anthony Wild coming over from Louisiana was another big signing for us. He wanted to follow Johnny. Rain Rhea was a guy we got from Jacksonville that he actually, he was my draft pick that got sniped from me by Frank, so I finally got him back. Cam Frosby, Tony Roberto, these guys, I mean, they're all top-notch guys. And really a lot of this free agent domino started with Johnny. And, the situation with Liam and Johnny and this and that, once I got him in a conversation with Liam, me and Liam talked about it because I said, listen, if you don't want him here, I said, you tell me, you give me the word, I'll pull the plug. We're done. And Liam was like, no, I want to talk to him. I was one of the first ones, I reached out to him when he first joined the league, and I've always kind of had a peak interest in Johnny. He goes, I think just things got miscommunicated. And once we got him in there, and had a conversation, I mean, these two just hit it off like they were just buddies, And so then when right before the London calling show, the signing show, all these guys, all these free agents got to hear the passion of Liam. And Liam was very emotional during that little pre-press we did right before the show aired. And, and me and Johnny even talked about that he goes, that's one of the reasons I joined London, is because I get to hear my owner be very passionate and you very passionate about what you guys want to do here in London. And, I know that there was that trash comment or whatever, but at the end of the day, bygones are bygones, and everybody's on a mission to make London a contender and take them to the playoffs for the first time.
Awesome. Okay, I was curious about that. I just got a notification that the Jason Miller report just came out, so I gotta definitely check that out.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass too. He's a pain. Let's just call it like it is. He's a pain. I've known him for years, but he's a pain.
I mean, but it's interesting.
He does a good job. He does. Look, Jason does a good job. I mean, he's always. I think he used to be a writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm trying to remember something. I think it's Philadelphia Inquirer. I can't remember, but anyway. But he's always been passionate about this beat reporting stuff. He worked in government system for years. So for him to start writing these reports for the SFL is always fantastic. And I always just have to give him grief whenever I get a chance to see him. So he left his sweater. Yeah, he left his produced sweater at my house. I'm an IU fan. I really want to burn it, but it's whatever. But yeah, the Miller report, you got to check those out because he does a really good job and he really goes in depth too. I mean, the draft, he did those mock drafts and he's the only one that actually puts analysis on why he picked this person, which is always good to hear. So
that's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. Whether you agree with it or not, at least it's there.
Yeah, whether he agrees with it or not. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one other burning question so I've been doing this for a while. I've had Johnny on my show quite a few times. Mm-hmm. Very first time I had him on, he was saying how he wanted to make an impact, how he wanted to just be that player that was outspoken. I'm all right, cool. And it seems like ever since then, every time I have him on, he's always done something to get some kind of...
He always does something to get everybody's attention, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, so this recent event, now I didn't know this until I watched Say It With Your Chest, right? Mm-hmm. Apparently he went on Dave's show, burned the hat from Louisiana. And as soon as I saw that, I did exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Because I knew, okay, first of all, if you go into a new team, how do you know that you're not going to do the exact same thing if you just happen to get mad at them? How do they know that you're not going to do the exact same thing that you just did to Louisiana? Yeah. And I really wanted him to be on the show to answer this question too. And hopefully I have him on so he can answer it. But what was the significance, in your opinion, of burning that hat? And how did that make you guys feel as basically the management?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when he told me first about he wanted to make a video, I was like, yeah. I was like, go ahead. Like, I mean, we were already talking about this London signing show anyway. It was going to be a first of its kind in the SFL ever. And I was like, you know what? I said, I don't mind if you do a little video to kind of boost up the show, right? You know what I mean? Give something people talk about, which we all know. Probably telling Johnny, hey, give something to people to talk about may not, but maybe that's my fault. I don't know. But anyway, so, he makes this video. I loved it. I thought he did a lot of great work on it. The video was well done. The burning of the hat And then what was the other part that somebody told me? The part that, and it's right back to each other, where somebody's got their fingers crossed or something behind the back, right? And then it shows the logo of Louisiana logo, whatever. For me, it's just whatever. I mean, it's Johnny. I mean, if he wants to make a video and he had some frustrations, I guess, in Louisiana, and that's fine. I mean, that's between him and Gerald and the organization. That's something that as a London, we're not going to be involved in, obviously. I know that it's for, he's coming to London and this and that, but here's the thing I'll reiterate, okay? The fact that, each and every player has went through the night code and has talked, me and Johnny have sat in my garage and talked about the night code. And he knows how passionate I am about it. He knows how passionate Liam, and especially Angus, because Angus is the one who created it. We all know. And if you look at that, I guess you could say that that's not following the night code, but at the same time, we know what Johnny brings to the table. We know how he's going to be for the rest of the season. A lot of people will say, well, it's just going to be a distraction, this and that. He's not going to be a distraction in my mind. What I want him to do is I want him to just go focus each and every game to try to, propel this team to the playoffs. This is why we brought him in, right? And in my mind, I think we're a win now team with who we were able to bring in. In my mind, I think we're a playoff contender. I didn't even say that when I was in Baltimore, because I just never wanted to jinx myself. But I think here it's a different attitude. It's a different story, right? We're not the same London Knights. We're not your grandpa's London Knights anymore. We're coming in, and it's kind of like what Dan Campbell said at Detroit, right, for the Lions back, whenever he got hired, right? We're gonna bite your kneecaps, basically, right? So, we want to be a different, fierce attitude type of team, and I think with the free agents that we brought in and the mindset behind each and every member, including Johnny, we're all on one mission, we're on one goal. We want to make it to the playoffs, and then once we get there, we're not done yet.
Absolutely,
we want to keep going. So
okay.
The video, to answer your video, I may have took a long answer with that, but the answer in my mind, it was a non-issue to me.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And everybody pretty much felt like it was a non-issue.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Nobody, when the video, we all saw the video before we even played it. Mm-hmm. He presented it to the front office, which was fine. That's what I told him to do. Mm-hmm. Actually, that was his recommendation, not mine, to be honest. And I said, hey, if we're go with this video, let's do it. And everybody agreed to it. So we presented the video as is.
Okay. Now, is the night code something is a secret, like for people? Okay. Would you mind explaining the night code to us for people that don't know?
Yeah. You know what? It's going to take me a minute to find it because it's actually pretty long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
it's actually
the gist.
The gist. The gist. Okay, so I can try to give the gist here. So basically, there's 5 different categories, and like I said, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and I really can't. There's courage. I know that's one of them. But the code is something that each and every night player has to value, right? Because not only are we trying to change the product on the field, we're also trying to change the product off the field. And I know that people will say, well, you brought in Johnny, you're not changing anything. Well, that's just a bunch of hogwash in my mind. But, when you're, obviously changing the culture, right? Because that's what we've done this past season. And the night code is what's done that for us. Every player has came in and said, yep, I'm going to follow the night code. This is fantastic. And that's what they got to honor. And we've all told them, if you don't honor the night code, you will not be a knight. Like, that's just the gist of it, right? Because we're not going to, if we have a code out there, we're presenting this night code, and then we don't follow our code and guidelines, then why do we even have a code, right? So, these players are really looking forward to this season and, honoring the code and then doing what they could do on the field and off the field.
Okay, gotcha. And if you could, like, when you do find it before I put this out, maybe I can just have it flashing, kind of.
Yeah, I will find it for you while we're sitting here talking, but go ahead.
All right.
I'll find it. I got it somewhere.
Because I'm kind of curious, because with you explaining what those values are, maybe you can inspire other teams to kind of come up with their own code in how things could be for their team. Because while we're all paying our money, while we're all having fun and things like that, you also want to make sure everything is respectful. You also want to make sure that you are representing your team in the right manner at all times. And what the expectations from that team should be. If it's in black and white, it's right there, then they can't argue with you, especially if you violate one of them, just like our rules, right? If we if you violate a code of conduct, you will be held responsible for that because it's written.
Yeah, and I just found it.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you want me to read it, I can. It's not as long as I thought it was. Courage is one of the, like I said, one of them. A London Knight will have the courage of the heart necessary to undertake tasks which are difficult, tedious, or unglamorous. Kind of goes on a little bit. I won't read all of it. Justice is another one. London Knight will hold him or herself to the highest standard of behavior, and known that fudging on the little rules weakens the fabric of society for everyone. Right. Mercy, another one. London Knight will exercise mercy in his or her own dealings with others, creating a sense of peace and community. That's kind of a big thing for us, right? And that was it. When I read all this stuff to Johnny, that was kind of one that stuck out, was mercy. And he was like, "Yep, this is exactly what we want to do." Because with him coming in, we've talked about a redemption story, right? Obviously, this will be his third team in as many seasons, right? So this will be his fourth season, actually. But having that mercy and doing what he can do on that side of it is the key. Generosity, another one. A London Knight will share what's valuable in life: time, attention, wisdom, and energy to help create a strong, rich, and diverse community. Faith, another one. A London Knight will embody trust and integrity, always faithful to his or her promises, no matter how big or small they may be. And then nobility. There's one more. Nobility. A London Knight understands the importance of upholding one's convictions at all times, especially when no one else is watching. And then hope. A London Knight will strive to keep an ever-present positive outlook and cheerful demeanor that inspires people all around. So that's the Knight Code, right? And we present this to each and every person that is either there currently or coming as a free agent, coming as a draft pick. And we're like, can you honor this? If you can honor this stuff, then we can keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I sent that written out to you. That way you have it.
Okay.
Just if you wanted to present that or whatever.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And like I said, I think it's interesting. And like I said, everything should be all good as long as everybody follows that code the way they're supposed to. And I know you're not having certain things. So if you see a pattern, if you see something happening and going in the wrong direction, I'm sure you, of all people, would definitely say something and put a stop to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's kind of like I've told him, and I've told everybody. I said, when I came into London, we had a guy that was not honoring the Knight Code. He was a gold defensive tackle. He's not in the league anymore, but he was actually the highest rated defensive tackle in the league. I cut him. I was like, I'm not afraid to cut who I need to cut if that's the case. And all these players understand that. They all know that.
Yeah, and I know exactly who you're talking about. I've had him on the show.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Trying to tell him to calm down too.
Not afraid to do it. Not afraid to do it.
But so with your current schedule that you guys have, who are the teams that you are most excited about playing?
That's a good one. That's a good question. I mean, naturally, I'm gonna probably say Baltimore just because we get to play them twice. It's always fun to play against Baltimore. Fort Worth, I'm really excited about. That's at the convention, which I will be attending, so that'll be fun. Because those are just a great group of guys, right? Hacker and Luis and Robert Garrett Jr. and Vincent and then now Aaron Alexander and all these guys. I mean, they're just all fantastic. Naturally, I guess I can say Louisiana, just because.
Right.
But you know what? I will admit this. They did a pretty good job this off season as well as we did. I think, and I've said it before, I think the combination of Collier and Streeter in the backfield is just scary. Collier is just a monster of fullback. Having that, they went and got Tommy Utah in the draft, which I think will be a good player for him. Craven, Doug Day obviously coming over as well. They help solidify that defense. They're going to be a scary team. They're not going to be easy to play when we play them in week 7, I believe it is.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Carolina probably also just because of the old Vulture versus Skyrats ordeal. Harish, I always enjoy, I think I'm 1-0 lifetime against Carolina. So they can look at 2-0. I'm really looking forward to playing all of them. I'm really looking forward to just the season, in all honesty. But those are the ones that kind of stick out of my mind.
Well, I'm looking at Baltimore. I know you mentioned that you guys are playing in twice. And you did not, you lost the game, but only by 7 points.
Yeah.
I've seen it to where it's blowout. So,
we were close. And that game was pretty good. T-Roy kind of burned us a little bit there at the end, but now that he's moving to fullback, thank God. We'll see. We'll see what he.
You still got Jimmy Hazards though. Jimmy.
I know. That's the scary part too. It's not like it was a downgrade of A-Lane.
Exactly.
It's not a downgrade at all.
That's still not a downgrade.
It's the first time TJ will have a contract fullback. So that'll be, at least that I've seen. So that'll be really intriguing for him. Keenan Samuels was a great pickup as well for them in the linebacker position. So they're still a tough team. They're still the team to beat in the division. But we got a little something for them.
Yeah, and it looks like with your losses this season, it wasn't as bad as it has been in past seasons for me looking.
True. I think the only real game we got our asses beat in was Lone Star, if I remember correctly. Because Sioux Falls was 14. That was the most devastating loss, I think, was losing to Sioux Falls because we had them dead
1 point.
2 minutes ago. We had them 2 minutes to go dead, 13-0, and they scored 2 touchdowns within 2 minutes. So, which was the coaching error, but that's okay. That falls on me and Tanner for that. But we're with who we played this past season and how we played this past season, especially for somebody like myself and Tanner, who was really just kind of starting to get into the coaching things. Tanner learned all things from Eddie, a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, Hall of Fame strong safety. So anytime you can have that on your resume, that's good. I learned, a little bit from what I got from TJ, and watching how them guys operated in Baltimore. So that helped a little bit. It was still different, obviously, doing it on your own compared to having, TJ or in Tanner's case, Eddie, to have, as a crutch, to help out. But, we learned a little bit. And, I also learned that, when you're angry that you have to replay Houston and you make a drunk playbook at 1 a.m. and it ends up winning somehow. Those are things you learn, right? Those are things you learn as coaches.
Right. But, I was looking at everybody's schedule, and I don't think anybody really has an easy schedule, so to speak, because
no, there's not.
Everybody is even St. Louis. I remember there's a time when I first got here, like season 12, that everybody was pretty much, if St. Louis was on your, I'm going to say this just because I'm telling the truth, but St. Louis, London, people were automatically chalking up certain teams with a win. Yeah. Because they just felt like, okay, they're not going to get it. But like the Cleveland Browns, you can only be bad for so long before you turn that corner.
Exactly. And I think with St. Louis, I hate to say this, but they've done a good job with Eagle as their GM.
Gotta give him some props.
I love Eagle, but God, there's some days I just want to throw a chair at him. But he's such a good dude. But he's really turned that franchise around as well. Just like I've, me and Tanner and the rest of these guys have done here in London. We totally turned organizations around, and I really see what San Diego's doing as well, kind of in the same path, right? I think with Optimus, having that first season going 0-12, I think you realize like, okay, I need to make some changes, and he did. And I think San Diego's going to be a sneaky good team this season. I've been saying this for a little bit now. I think that with what they've got going on over there, I know that people kind of were wondering about the draft picks. Obviously taking 2 linebackers when they already had 2 on the roster, but the defense is going to be interesting, but I think that they've learned a lot. They're going to be a way better team. There's not going to be a game anywhere in this season where it's like, oh yeah, that's a guaranteed win. There's just not. because all of those teams and, because you had, the coaches in the past that, you always had Mighty and you had these guys that, just seem to dominate. And then now you got all these other teams that are starting to come up and the coaches are getting better. And, now we're on legend difficulty. So I think that leveled the playing field a little bit, there's not going to be an easy game in this league anymore. And that's what makes it exciting.
Which I think ultimately that's what Cam wanted. He wanted it to be more competitive because even like back in season 12 when I started, I watched the season 11 championship and it was Mighty and it was Frank. And it seemed like it was Mighty, Frank, Ramos, those and TJ
was in there at one point, season 9, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They were the top teams and they were always in that position. Even Sioux Falls, always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and whatever, or even Andy, Vancouver.
Yeah.
But it seems like since everybody is understanding the playbook, maybe legend settings has something to do with it, which I'll get into that with you later, in a minute. I think that it just made it a more even playing field. That way everybody has a chance. That way you're not just, oh my God, there they are. They're going to be the champions again. So keeps it interesting.
Yeah, there is no you can't look at a team now and just be like, yep, they have a clear path to the championship. I mean, there's too many teams that are just getting better, right? Yeah. And the talent coming in is getting better. So it's like this season is going to be probably, in my mind, I think, at least since I've been here, I think this season is going to be the best one yet.
Gotcha. And before I let you go, one maybe two questions, but one more question is,
you're good.
How did you feel about legend settings? I'm trying to, every time I ask an owner, especially if it's on a podcast, I want to kind of get, do you like the new way or do you like the old way?
I didn't coach during the all pro setting, so I really can't answer that. I'm just, but from what I've seen gameplay wise and how the games have been turned out, I like the new way better. It just, like I said, I think it just levels things out, right? Mm-hmm. You're not seeing running backs as dominant as you did in the seasons past, right? I mean, how many 1,000-yard receivers or 1,500-yard receivers or runners did we have in season 14 and 15? There was a ton of them, right? So the teams that actually have good running backs are good, right? That's running the ball. The guys that have builds that need to be worked on a little bit, or they finally figure out the game plan, those are the guys that are playing well. So to me, I think the new setting for me and for the rest of the league, I think is better off than what we had in the past.
Yeah. Now, since you will be coaching in the minors next season.
Yep.
What is your advice to those that will be returning to the minors that did not get picked up in this draft? Because I know that there are a lot of hurt feelings out there. One of the surprising, and we can even talk about that a little bit. Who surprised you that did not get drafted? For me, it was Mike Savage, Jimmy Hazard's brother, wide receiver.
Yeah.
I thought somebody was going to pick him up, the wide receiver, because there were people that needed it. Maybe they didn't know too much about him or whatever the case, but that was definitely surprising to me.
Yeah, I wonder if that's, I didn't have to go after wide receiver, so I didn't really talk to a lot of wide receivers. I know, just being in the SFLM, I've seen who's chatting and who's not, and I've seen Mike Savage's name out there a ton. I kind of have to fall in line with the Miller report here because I'm kind of reading it as we talk. But he talks about how DC went after Mike Churchill, which was a really kind of a lower rated wide receiver when you had Mike Savage sitting there. Was that the right move? Probably not. I was surprised, Dante Grimm was another one. He did kind of get selected technically, but that pick was null and voided because they already had too many players. So, that sucks for him. But the rest of these guys, the thing I could tell you as an SFLM head coach is to go back and be happy about going back because you're going to be able to build yourself up even more. Obviously the progression plan will probably be changing a little bit just because of the automation system. You're not going to get as much points, I think, but that's fine. I'm actually all for that if that's the case. And really just go in there and then help your team win, and then, redo the process again. There was a lot of value out there in this draft. And for some positions, like wide receiver, for example, there just wasn't a lot of teams that had need for them.
Needed, yeah.
And a lot of teams that, like DC, for example, have 4 wide receivers. They dropped from 4 to 3. I think one team doesn't have – I think Sioux Falls doesn't even have a tight end, right? So, yeah, I don't think Sioux Falls has a tight end, which was another thing that kind of surprised me. So, teams are changing all the time. And wide receiver, for this example, just was not that big of a need. So go back to the minors, build yourself up, and then give us GMs like myself and you a reason to, okay, I can't pass on this person, right? And that's not just on the field too, but that's off the field, because a lot of these players, like I found out through other GMs, that during this draft process, there's a lot of rookies that didn't respond back to these GMs. And then when these guys wonder why they didn't get drafted, there's your reason, right? You got to respond to the GMs. I mean, you don't have to make it you don't have to make it a point to be like, oh yeah, I 100%, have to do this. But at the same time, you have to, because if you're wanting to progress in this league and actually get into the league, that's the way you have to go. But like I said, highly encourage these guys just to keep their heads up. Talk and figure out a plan to where, okay, I want a plan to where I'm 100% no matter what, I'm drafted. And do whatever you can to put yourself out there. Be a great community member, right? Be a good member when it comes to being in game day chat. I mean, like I said, Dave Burr was a 1-year player build, and he got drafted over from guys who were probably close to maxed out. You know why? Because he's a good community member. He's a guy that's in there in the game chat, boosting his team up, in the locker room, boosting his team up every day. And that's why he got drafted.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. And
by the way, our boy said that he thought it was 12 Central, not 12 Eastern. You know him.
Yeah. I put EST, so I know what it's.
Yeah, you know how he is. You know how he is.
But
he just texted back.
Did he text me back? Let me see.
He probably did.
Yeah, he probably did.
He probably texted you back. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, it was just a lot to deal with, a lot to go through.
Yeah.
All right. So, but yeah, I was just wondering, what your initial thoughts on that was.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. I know for me, it's hard to, after I've talked with so many people, to only make that one choice, and then it's like I feel like I broke somebody's heart because I want them going with somebody else over them, and then they're like, why? But I think you gave some good reasons as to why. If people don't see you, and if you don't make it a point to reach out to these owners and GMs, even just a simple hello, my name is such and such, I'm just here. If you have any advice for me, I would gladly appreciate it. That could be something that simple.
It's simple. It's really simple. And like I told all these guys in Lexington, I was like, because we, each player has their own player channel, so they can have a direct DM to me and Jeff. And we talk about, like, I reached out like a week before the draft or whatever. I'm like, hey, who's talking to you? Let me know what's going on. And I was reaching out to GMs everywhere and be like, hey, this is a player that I think would fit into your locker room. I think this would be a good match for you. Here's why. I had plenty of conversations with Damon, obviously, about Dave, but talking a lot with Rochelle Colson about Rogan Sparra and Chance to Win, who she chose with both of them. I talked to Baltimore plenty about Bailey, but I never really actually reached out to Denver, which was, I don't know
why.
Thinking about it. But I mean, Denver made the right choice, so we're good there. But but all the rest of these guys, I mean, and that's what these rookies have got to do. They've just reach out with a simple hey, or I've seen rookies, come out with graphics that kind of talk about their player and like just kind of give like general stats, and then just say, hey, this is why I think I'd be a fit for London or a fit for Arizona or whoever. It's that simple, and really that's what gets you on the map. And then us obviously being able to watch how you act in chat, how you act during the game chat is the other part of it. You can be a great interview all day, but if you go in and you start, talking about how your team sucks and you're leaving after the third quarter or whatever, then yeah, that's another part of it. So, but like I said, hopefully with the SFL coaches that we have, I think everybody's really good at being able to talk to their players, like JC Williams over there in Albuquerque or Ross over in in Salt Lake, or Coach and Art Vandalay over there in San Jose. I mean, these guys can, they know how to promote their players and this and that, and just the same way with me. And, so all they got to do is just listen to their coaches and just be community members, and they'll be drafted before you know it.
So if someone was interested in doing the coaching thing or even scouting over for the minors, would they get in touch with the coaches, or would they get in touch with Andrew Rasticelli?
I think what they need to do is talk to the coaches, right? I mean, if you want to be a scout or an offensive coordinator, come and talk to us, because we're always, and for me, for example, I'm usually looking for, different options and stuff like that. I have a scout in Lexington by the name of Mike O'Neill who does a fantastic job. He started kind of late in the season last year, but, me and him have been working kind of side by side to do some scouting and stuff for the upcoming SFLM season. So we're already thinking about season 4, which is crazy because it's not for like ever, right? At least it feels like forever. But, if you're interested in scouting or you're interested in being a coordinator or assistant head coach or whatever for these guys, just reach out to the SFLM head coach and talk to us. There's a list in the server that I think it's under, I don't know what channel name it is, but SFL, well, it may be it's under information. If you look under hashtag information, you'll see each and every member of each SFLN team, and you can reach out to them and just talk to them about that.
That's it.
And then from there, we would DM Rostelli and be like, hey, we're going to add this player to our locker room as an offensive coordinator.
Awesome. That sounds easy. Sounds easy peasy. As long as you have the will, the drive to be able to do it, and the game. Now, that's another thing before I let you go. Do you have to have the game and the editor to be a scout?
You don't have to have the editor, because for me, for example, just going off of me, I can easily get a roster file ready for Mike. But if you want to be a good scout or a good coach, yes, you need the game, absolutely, because you need to be able to understand kind of how the AI works, what the plays are, this and that. Now, I got like a Google Drive that basically has screenshots of every single play anyway. So, I mean, you don't need a playbook technically, but it's still good to have the game so that you can understand and run sims on your own, to be able to match up what you're going to do against the defense or against the offense of the other team.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I did reach out to Johnny and I told him that you were still talking. So if he wanted to come in, he could, but there was no response. So he might be busy with the girls and everything. So
look at him, that kid. But he comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, 1 o'clock, my fault," and he doesn't even freaking come in. Like, what the heck? I'm gonna give him so much grief.
He knew what question I was probably gonna ask him too. I'm gonna find a way to ask him that question.
Yeah, well, even
if we're at the convention, I'm gonna ask him.
Well, I mean, it'll be easy to find him because he'll be in my car, so he's right now with me. So that's going to be a fun 15-hour drive with that guy.
Man. Y'all driving there for real?
Yeah, we're going to drive from Indianapolis. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So make it a little trip out of it. We're going to try to go to Mike St. Green's little meet and greet. Or actually, we are going to go to Mike St. Green's meet and greet. Looking forward to that before the convention starts. And that's going to be a really fun weekend for everybody. I mean, I think we're over like 100 and some people, right? I think it's what.
Yeah, I think the last time he checked, it was like right at 100.
Yeah, so a lot of people coming to the convention. Can't wait to meet each and every, because there'll be a lot of people you don't really have a face to the name, right? So I mean, a lot of people, I guess, know just because I'm on Access and on your show and everybody else's, but some people I've never seen her face before, so it'll be nice to finally meet some people.
Exactly. And I think Cam had explained that Riot Dynasty, I want to say, is going to be doing like some little pins. So when we get there, we'll see our names, and then you know exactly who you're talking to and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice time for everybody.
It's going to be fun. It really will.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Chad, for being on the show. I really appreciate you, taking the time out to kind of chill out with me and things like that. But I was wondering, is there anything that you want to ask me, or I'm going to give you the floor, if not, to say whatever is on your mind. Hopefully that is a song or a poem or something of that nature that, I've been trying to get you guys to do for me. But you can say whatever is on your mind right now. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't know if you want a song or a poem. I mean, it'd be, if I had like Benji or Jeff, it's always funny because Benji and Jeff are always, going back and forth like haikus and stuff. So if I had one of them, maybe I'd have like a really good haiku going right now, but I just don't. No, you know what? For me, I'm really looking forward to this season, obviously for a lot of reasons. And I know a lot of people, in the past couple of weeks have talked about this whole, Louisiana Johnny ordeal. And I know that what happened on Say It With Your Chest happened, but, at the end of the day, every member of the London Knights, we are focused, and ready for the season. We've been talking a lot in the locker room and just getting pumped up about the season. And really for everybody, I mean, it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be such a great season for everybody. I'm really looking forward to week 1 against Atlanta. I wish I would have got a better draw. I think Atlanta's still a good team, but I don't think there is an easy draw week 1, right? So I just got to take the punches, I guess. But looking forward to it. Too bad, Cam didn't give me fish and chips. We don't get to play St. Louis this year. That was kind of a downfall, but I understand he just better put us back on the schedule next year. I'm just, so I know Tony Roberto will appreciate that because he was dying to play against St. Louis this year, but he doesn't get that chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking forward to the season, and I know that you guys, will be looking forward to the season. Well, Arizona, I mean, Will Todd, genius move. That was a fantastic addition. At one point, I was actually trying to talk to Will Todd a little bit about maybe London, but I changed the philosophy a little bit. Right before the season ended.
I got to him first. Once I get to him, you ain't got no chance.
I mean, that's kind of what everybody says about me, I guess, right? Once I get to him, there's no chance. But what did Gagne say? I could sell ice in Antarctica or something? I can't remember.
You probably could.
But you know what? That was a really great addition. The move for TJ Punk to wide receiver, I was kind of blown away by it because I was like, oh wow, okay, this is the way they're going. I think the build that he has for a slot wide receiver is going to be something special. I think that was an excellent idea from you guys. You guys were in the playoffs last season. You guys are going to be a scary team. I'm just glad I don't have to play you because
it's not fair.
I don't know if we could do the same game as we did last season. But like I said, once again, I'm really looking forward to this season. Kudos to the entire offseason, the automation portal with Cam and them guys. They've done a fantastic job. Cam put on a great draft, so thank you to him. Thank you to and I'll say this, thank you to Andy Hamilton too for the first round hosting and Tyler Falk for the second or third round. They both did a phenomenal job hosting the draft. And it's just the more that we talk about it, the more I just get pumped up and ready to go. So I'm just looking forward to the season.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. So good luck to each and every team.
We'll see you in the playoffs.
There you go, right? I like the way you think. We'll see you in the playoffs. There you go.
Cam knew what he was doing.
He knew.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry to cut you off. I think I didn't hear that last thing you said.
No, you're good. I was just going to say good luck to each and every team this season. Everybody's been making different moves, and I'm really excited to see how all these moves pan out for everybody. Jacksonville with 3 offensive linemen is going to be an interesting thing to watch too. So that's going to be, Marcus Dunhill's got some weapons over there now. So, are we going to see Marcus Dunhill old or not? I don't know. We'll find out. But either way, this is all the storylines that are coming up. It's just going to be a phenomenal season. So good luck to each and every.
I totally agree. And it's interesting because we'll get to see how Sioux Falls and Queen City bounce back from, their seasons that they had. Because like I said, I'm not used to seeing those teams, not making the playoffs.
Exactly. And you'll look forward to seeing what Louisiana does. I mean, Louisiana was a team that was really, was a semifinal team in season 15. Come back. They won, I think. I can't remember. But then to have the offseason they had, I mean, obviously, you sub out Pickler for Utah, but with the rest of the guys that they bring in, Mike Ryan, nobody talks about Mike Ryan going over there. So that could be a really key addition there as well. So
definitely,
these teams, who's going to be the one that rebounds back the most, and then what teams will we see if there's any that falter, right?
Right.
It's like I said, it's just going to be, I think the playoff race, like towards the end, where you're going to have all these different scenarios, and Cam's, blows his brains out from trying to figure out all these scenarios. I think he's going to have a really bad one this year, because I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be right there in the middle that are going to just be, it's going to be too tough to call.
I hope so. I hope every team has the same record.
I mean, I don't see Denver running the table like they used to. I still think they're going to be a good team, but I think we'll have a new king at the top. I know who it is, but I'm not going to, I'll say it. I think in my mind, it's the year of the Toro. I hate to say it, but I think it's the year of the Toro.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will pull this back up out of my archives, and I will say,
do it.
Right?
Pull it back up. I mean, listen, I love London, and I love what we can do. Do I think we're a championship contender team? No. But do I think we're a playoff contending team? Yes. I think we're a playoff team for sure. Do I see us in the I would love to, but no. So in my mind, I'm looking at who's the top teams and who really, did a good job in free agency and draft, and Fort Worth just did an amazing job. I mean, that's why they're front office of the year, right? They, you go pick up Jeff Duffy from Queen City. That was an amazing pickup. Marquise Reed was a guy we had in London. I think that he'll fit in well, being a second or a third safety in that defense. And then getting Aaron Alexander and Johnny Van Man was just a really good draft for them. So I think it's the year of the Toro. That offense is just way too powerful to stop.
All right. Well, we're going to definitely see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, dear. Well, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate you as always. And come back whenever you want.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, love.